Hi guys, welcome to another video, and this one's going to be all about doing indoor stock footage. And the reason I decided to do it today was the weather outside was really bad, and I just thought of all these easy concepts that I could come up with and create stock footage from them, just from everyday life. What is the first thing I do in the morning, for example? I'll make a cup of tea or I'll make a cup of coffee. So I thought I'd start with those two simple scenarios and see how we went. It turned out that it wasn't as simple as I thought it would be. And just getting the perfect take on me pouring myself a cup of tea took a lot more effort than I thought it would. But before we get into that, I'll just tell you about my setup. Because it's such a dull day outside, I couldn't use the window light at all. So what I've done is set up two lights instead. They're constant video lights, and they provide enough light to illuminate the scene so that the ISO isn't too high and everything is well lit. The way I did it for the first scenario with the cup of tea is I put one light slightly to the side and behind the cup of tea, and I put one light in front. So it's I think it's got a little bit of a rim light which gives this clear glass beaker some definition. So with this setup, I just used my dining room table as a shooting studio, and I set my lights where they had to go and my Canon 70D on its tripod, and I got shooting. So the setup was that I had the cup of tea in the center, and to the left hand side I had a tablet and also a plate with some bread on it, and in the background I had a loaf of bread. I think on the right hand side I had another breakfast container that contained like hard, I think in Dutch it's called beschout. It's basically just toasted bread, and that was in a blue cylinder. Yeah, so that was simulating a scene where someone would be sitting down at their kitchen table or their dining room table. They'll have their tablet on standby. Maybe they're getting ready for work in the morning and they just want to check some things on their tablet, and their phone is nearby. They've either put their phone down or they want to use that as well. So that's like a typical scenario before work, having a cup of tea, and in the background you've got some bread where you're going to make some toast from. Okay, so I thought this would be simple. I basically put the tea bag in the glass and then I pour some water in. But it's not that simple. The first time I did it, I had a bit of a fail because these footage clips that I'm making are primarily commercial, so I don't want any brands to be visible in the video. But what I forgot was that the label on the tea bag was visible in the first shot. So I had to start again because you can see, I think it was a Clipper brand. And of course I don't want to make this clip an editorial clip. I want to get as many possibilities for selling it as possible, and to do that I make it a commercial clip. So with the next clip I thought I would just block out that symbol of the Clipper brand on the tea bag, and unfortunately the kettle was too prominent in the shot. So I wanted it less visible. So for the final shot I added the iPhone to the right hand side of the frame. I think earlier I said I had the iPhone there to start with, but that wasn't true. I added that I think 3 or 4 times, the third or fourth time that I tried this. And I put the tea bag label behind the mug so it wasn't visible, and I stood behind the light so there wasn't any shadow falling over the scene. And I also poured the water a bit more slowly so that the clip would last a bit longer. And I think the kettle is also less visible in this shot. So finally, after 4 or 5 takes, I was able to create a simple video footage clip of pouring a cup of tea. So it was shot at 1080p, high definition, not 4K because my 70D doesn't do 4K. It was shot at 50 frames a second with a shutter speed of 100. Okay, so for the next scenario, I was going to make myself a cup of instant coffee, and for that I moved to my messy kitchen, but unfortunately only one of my lights would fit into the kitchen because it's quite narrow, so I tilted my light up so that it faced the ceiling, so with the hope that it would illuminate and bounce off the ceiling and produce more light, and I could use a lower ISO. And I also did it close to a window. Despite this, with an aperture of f5.6, I still had an ISO of 1000. So I hope the stock agencies accept it. It's pretty well lit. I don't think there's going to be that much noise in it, but we'll only find out once I get it into Premiere Pro and have a look. And what I thought would be a simple shoot of just pouring a glass of instant coffee and some water over it, of course, turned out to be a lot more complex. The first take that I took of this showed too much of the packet, and on the packet is some text, and I was scared that that text would be recognized and attributed to a label or a brand. So because I want these clips to be commercial, I don't want any brands or labels to be visible. And on the second occasion, I wanted to make sure that the packet was not visible in the frame. So I did it from quite high up, and I totally missed the glass of coffee and it just went all over the bench. So I spent the next 5 minutes cleaning that mess up, and then I had another go. On the third go, to the right of the frame, I blocked the shot a bit using the kettle to pour the water in, and that wasn't optimal, so I thought I'd have another try. And unfortunately, on the fourth go, the packet was still visible in the shot, so I had to scrap that one. And on the fifth and final go, I got all the factors right. I had made sure that the packet was out of the frame, but just low enough so that I didn't miss the glass, and that I didn't get too much of the kettle into shot from the right hand side. So what I did then was pour the powder into the glass and pour the boiling water in from the kettle. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a delay in the middle between pouring the coffee powder and pouring the water in. So in post, I'm just going to cut that in the middle and shorten that delay, and hopefully that will work so that I can get the shot of pouring the powder and then smoothly transition to pouring the water from the kettle. If you're stuck inside and the weather is bad, or you just don't want to go out because of you're in lockdown or some other situation, then there is stock footage opportunities within your house to create good clips from. Good clips, that sounds so upbeat. There's plenty of opportunities within your house or your pantry just to create footage from, and these can be of everyday situations revolving around your life. For example, you could get up in the morning, set up your tripod, put your camera on behind you in the bathroom and video yourself shaving. You could also just video the lunch that you're making, and that goes into food photography and food videography. The ideas that you come up with can be endless. So with that, guys, I wish you luck in taking on a stock footage challenge within your home if you're stuck indoors. and I'll see you next week for a new video. All the best. See ya.